We invite you to spend the next 35 minutes in the company of Robin Hall and Jimmie Macgregor.
I met her, was at a dance at Tundrakey. I very kindly asked her, would she dance a step with me? I asked if I could take her home, as she'd be gone me way. Whenever I come in at the door, you could hear her mammy say, Johnny, get up from the fire, get up and give your man a seat. Can't you see it's Mick Macgreor and his new sister Kate? Sure you know very well he owns the farm a wee bit out of the town. How to get out of that, you impudent brat, let Mr. Macgreor sit down.
But now that we are married, our mammy's changed her mind, because I spent the money that her father left behind. She hasn't got the decency to give me time of day, and whenever I come in at the door, you could see the old bitch say,
Johnny, come up to the fire, come up, you're sitting in the draft. Can't you see it's old Macgreor, he nearly drives me daft. Sure, I don't know what gets in him, he's always on the tear. How did you sit where you are and never you dare give old Macgreor the chair? Diddly-dodle-dodle-dodle-dodle, diddly-dodle-doo, diddly-dodle-dodle-dodle-dodle, diddly-dodle-doo. Sure, I don't know what gets in him, he's always on the tear. How did you sit where you are and never you dare give old Macgreor the chair?
Mick Macgreor. I wonder why we start so often with an Irish song. Probably it's because they have got some pretty good ones over there. But here is a Scottish song which we feel is easily the equal of anything from across the water. It's a translation from the Gaelic of a fisherman's song from the Western Islands, and Steve's going to help us to sing it. It's called the Mingulay Boat Song.
Sailing homeward to Mingulay. That's been a favourite song of ours for a long time, and some of the listeners who asked us to include it this week seem to think it's not such a bad wee song either. The Seagull effects, by the way, were by Johnny Scott, one of Britain's finest jazz musicians, and we're very lucky that Johnny likes folk music and has joined us this week on the programme. In fact, he's going to join us on the next song.
Well, Robin hasn't mentioned one rather important thing about the song, apart from the fact that Johnny's playing on it, and that is that we're going to sing it in Hebrew, of all things. We were in Israel in the summer, and we learned this song from a friend of ours, the Israeli composer, Nomi Shemer. It's called Shir Zamar No Dead, and that means the song of a wanderer. It's all about one of those very unlikely characters who doesn't want fame or riches or comfort or any of the things that normal people want. He just wants to be free to go as he pleases.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Aderi karukahi ve rabba, rabba. Aderi karukahi ve rabba, ada. Kulam halachim baderi kada sofa, sofa. Kulam halachim baderi kada sofa, abalari, abalari, levat, levat, soel. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Visharani, visharani, shire zamar no dead. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Enirat seile baitim sadeh, sadeh. Enirat seile baitim sadeh, yaro. Kikol sikre kolachem asher oleh, oleh. Kikol sikre kolachem asher oleh, vitzvok. Yashir koni yashira ballatem lohe. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Avoy la shir en no lohe. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Haderi karukahi ve rabba, 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 rabba. Haderi karukahi ve rabba, ana. Kulam halachim baderi kada sofa, 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 sofa. Kulam halachim baderi kada sofa, amar. Abalani, abalani, levat, levat, soel. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Visharani, visharani, shire zamar no dead. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Well, that song was for a very long time at the top of the Israeli hit parade, and when we were in Israel in the summer, it was still being sung. By the way, we're very happy about the amount of mail the programme's been receiving, and we're happier still that most of it is very enthusiastic and quite complimentary on occasions. An exception, however, is one letter which begins without any preamble at all. Just heard your Chinese yapping, miserable voices. And that was us singing in English. I wonder what you thought of that last song.
I hesitate to think. Actually, I suppose, these days because pop music is so popular, every time I switch on the radio, I keep hearing the current top 20 from an enormous variety of disc jockeys. And I must say I'm delighted when I listen to the musical variety and interest of a particular disc jockey's programme, who is also our guest this week. He's a guitarist, a disc jockey who plays a lot of folk music on his programmes, including, I'm glad to say, some of our records. So we're very glad to welcome this week Ken Sykora. Nice to have you with us, Ken.
Hello, Ken.
Very happy to be here.
Ken, I remember when we used to appear on your Roundabout programme, we were very happy. We were very happy in those days to appear on any programme, but we were particularly pleased to appear on Roundabout because we found that you yourself were very much in sympathy with our kind of music. And another thing that we noticed was that the programme was not only entertaining, but it was kind of, informative and sort of painlessly educational. Was that a deliberate policy on your part, or was it just your own kind of interest showing through?
It's a bit of both, actually, Jimmy, because I used to be a teacher at one time, and I think that to be a good teacher, you've got to be entertaining as well as educating. And I think to be a good entertainer, you've got to have something to say as well. However you say it, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to teach people all the time, but you've got to have a bit of meat about what you say.
Do you do this all on, I mean, all the scripting and the kind of tying in of the ideas and relating one record to another, you do all this entirely on your own, do you?
Yes.
So, in fact, you're not it's wrong to call you a disc jockey, because a disc jockey is a bloke who sits and slaps records on, isn't he?
In a way, yes, I think so. What's become known as a disc jockey is very often somebody who receives all the current records through the post and sorts out a program from them. And in a way, this is a nice lazy way of doing things, because your script is mainly here is and that was, you see. The only thing is, when you actually get to the microphone, you have to gear yourself up to say things like, and this is the greatest thing from Ivy Snurd and the Wombats, you see, and then you have to say that again after the record, whatever it sounded like.
Yes.
Ken, would you do us a favour and be bright as a buttons disc jockey this week and play one of your favourite records for us?
Well, I don't know about favourite records. Most of my favourites are guitar records, folk music as well, and I think there's probably quite enough of that. But the record that I think I'd like to play, which I just happen to have here with me, is one of an excruciating musical experience, which I think it would be sad if anybody missed.
The last time I saw Paris, her heart was warm and gay. I heard the laughter of her heart in every street cafe. The last time I saw Paris, her trees were dressed for spring, and lovers walked beneath those trees, and birds found songs to sing. I dodged the same old taxi cabs that I had dodged for years. The chorus of their squeaky old horns was music to my ears. The last time I saw Paris, her heart was warm and gay. No matter how they change her, I'll remember her that
The latest and the greatest from those two great stars, Darlene and Jonathan Edwards. In fact, Robin, those are Paul Weston, the orchestra leader, and his wife, who is Jo Stafford.
Ken, I'd like to get on to, folk music. Obviously, we sing a lot of folk music on the programme. We'd like to hear your views, what you think about the current folk boom, or is there any folk boom at all?
Well, I think there's been a folk boom for Robin and Jimmy and one or two others. No, I think seriously that there is a folk boom creeping up on us without anybody realizing it, but it's a little bit of a dangerous thing. What has been happening is that a lot of pop songs, that is pop discs and pop groups, have been using folk song material, but in a very peculiar way. They've been adapting it towards their own particular style. They lose a lot of the charm of the folk music without really adding anything to pop music. Then, of course, pop music has to borrow from lots of sources. It's borrowed from jazz, it borrows from pop music.
Yes.
It borrows mainly from the 12-bar blues, of course.
Yes. I feel personally that a real commercial folk music boom would be a very bad thing.
And yet, you see, in America, you've got a folk boom, which, although it's producing one or two rather sort of commercial sounding and not very interesting groups, on the whole is producing some very good people, some good singers, some interesting singers. One of the things about folk music and the folk music boom in America is that this music appeals to people of all age groups. You see, the teenagers and the youngsters have been buying things by Peter, Paul and Mary and Bob Dylan, and their fathers and grandfathers. In fact, the whole age group from 77 to 70 has been interested and is buying folk music of one sort or another. But I think the young people are already impressed, for instance, by the fact that the Beatles are very keen on Bob Dylan, for one. In fact, I read in an American magazine somebody who has tried to prove that John Lennon and Bob Dylan are the same person. Personally, I believe that Ringo and Cilla Black are the same person.
Well, but
seriously, the last Beatles LP, for instance, had several tunes which were extremely folky, and one which was almost an imitation of Bob Dylan in the accent, in the way he spoke and everything. And a lot of the groups nowadays are, in fact, doing much quieter songs in a slightly more folk style. But I think, as with rhythm and blues, that you're gradually getting something a little bit nearer the original instrumental rhythm and blues. You see, somebody like Georgie Fame is much closer to the American rhythm and blues than the people we've been having for the last year. So I think this might happen with folk, that even if you get the pop groups sort of imitating folk groups to start with, that eventually the public will want something a little bit nearer the real thing.
Yeah, well, let's hope you're right.
Ken would like to thank you very much for coming. By the way, did you bring a guitar with you?
I did, in fact, yes. I just happened to have it here in my collapsible sandwich box.
Smasher, would you play us a wee tune before you go?
Well, I don't mind. After the Darlene and Jonathan Edwards, this might sound all right, actually.
We've got Bill on bass, and we've got Pete on drums, and we've got Steve on the other guitar, so you've got a marvellous little rhythm group there.
Right. Well, I'll play the one that Steve knows then. That's a tune that... no, it's a lovely tune, the one that Django Reinhardt wrote, called Nuage, which means clouds.
That was Ken Sykora playing Nuage, and Steve Benbow calls that Nadjas. Well, now, this week, yet another example of the way songs and tunes travel. When I was a wee boy, one of my favourite singers on Children's Hour was an English school teacher called John Runge, and my favourite song of his was Old Daddy Fox, a song from Somerset. But when I grew a wee bit older, I then learned that this song was much more popular as an American song, because in those days the only American singer I'd ever heard of was Bing Crosby. So here, first of all, is John Runge singing from Somerset, Old Daddy Fox, followed by, of all groups, The Bachelors, usually a pop group, but this time singing from America, The Fox Went Out on a Chilly Night.
Old Daddy Fox went out one night and he prayed to the moon to give him light. For he'd a many miles for to travel that night before he reached his den, oh, den, oh. mile for to travel that night before he reached his den. Oh.
He ran till he came to a great big bin where the ducks and the geese were kept therein. One of you's gonna grease my chin before I leave this town, oh, town, oh, town, oh. One of you's gonna grease my chin before I leave this town, oh. He grabbed the grey goose by the neck, he threw the duck across his back. He didn't mind the quack, 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 and the legs all dangling down, oh, down, oh, down, oh. He didn't mind the quack, 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 and the legs all dangling down, oh.
And of course, we could play you many other versions from America and England and all over the place, but instead, we want to sing you a Scottish version which is much older than most, where Daddy Fox is referred to by his Scottish name, the Tod.
High from the Tod, it's a brawling neck. The wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. The wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. And oh, what is the tune? Oh, he's ta'en the goose by the grey-green sleeve. Cry, old bird, nae anger me, you love your flesh is sweet, but your banes will leave. Now I have come to the tune. Oh, high from the Tod, it's a brawling neck. And the wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. The wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. And oh, what is the tune? Oh, up get the old wife out of her bed. Out of the window she's coosed her head. Hey, old man, the goose is dead, for the Tod has been till the tune. Oh, hey, for the Tod, it's a brawling neck. The wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. The wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. And oh, what is the tune? Oh, hey, for the Tod, it's a brawling neck. The wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. The wind's in the west and the wind shines bright. And oh, what is the tune?
W.B. Yeats, Oscar Wilde, J.M. Synge, James Joyce and Sean O'Casey are just a few of the many great Irish writers of the past. One Irish writer who unfortunately only very recently joined them was Brendan Behan, who wrote, I think, some of the most splendid Irish plays, like, for example, The Hostage and, of course, The Queer Fellow. And most of his writing is dotted with snatches of street songs from Dublin. Throughout The Queer Fellow, for example, runs one of these songs, sung by a lonely prisoner in Mountjoy Jail. It's called The Old Triangle.
Ah, hungry feeling came o'er me stealing, and the mice were squealing in my prison cell, while that old triangle went jingle jangle along the banks of the Royal Canal. As the day was dawning, the screw was bawling, get on to bed and clean up yourself, while that old triangle went jingle jangle along the banks of the Royal Canal. Up in the female prison there are 70 women, and it's there's the place I would like to dwell, while that old triangle went jingle jangle along the banks of the Royal Canal.
Well, those were only three of the very many verses of Brendan Behan's Old Triangle. On the Mingley Boat Song and on our Hebrew song, you heard some very sympathetic flute playing from Johnny Scott, and we want to let you hear some more of that now. Johnny, as you are obviously one of the best-known musicians on the jazz scene, and for Robin and myself, it seems funny that you should have chosen the flute, because the flute always seems to us to be much more of a folk instrument than a jazz instrument. Would you say that was true?
Well, I think you're right, and I think that probably that's the reason that I took to the flute, because I've always loved folk music. As a matter of fact, I think that probably folk music has had more of an influence on my jazz than any other kind of music.
You're going to play something now, aren't you?
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called Flutie.
That was a very folky flutie, in my opinion. And thank you very much indeed, Johnny Scott, for joining us, and we hope to see you again very soon.
About 8 years ago at a party in Glasgow, I heard Peggy Seeger, the sister of the famous Pete Seeger, singing a very lovely wee American song. And there wasn't very much of it, but I've always remembered it, and Robin and myself are going to sing it for you now. It's called Times Are Getting Hard.
Times are getting hard, boys. Money's getting scarce. If things don't get no better, boys, bound to leave this place. Take my sweetheart by the hand, lead her through the town. Say farewell to everyone. Farewell to everyone. Times are getting hard, boys, anyone can see. I must play the cards, boys, life deals out to me. Troubles on my mind, boys, more than I can bear. Catch that midnight special, boys, roll away from here, boys. Times are getting hard, boys, luck is running low. Pack my bag and I'll leave this place, who knows where I'll go. Take my sweetheart by the hand, lead her through the town. Say farewell to everyone, farewell to everywhere, everyone, farewell.
Well, that was Times Are Getting Hard, and the extra 2 verses in the song were written by Jimmy and myself. I believe the boys this week from Warwick School are going to teach us an American song. It goes quite well, actually, with Times Are Getting Hard beforehand. Rob, you tell me, what is the song you're going to teach us?
We've got a song called Some Folks Do.
Some Folks Do. Now, who's that by?
It's by Stephen Foster.
Do you know anything about Stephen Foster at all?
Absolutely nothing.
You don't know anything.
Oh, no.
Well, I tell you what, I'll tell you something about Stephen Foster. Stephen Foster was a very famous American songwriter who spent an awful lot of his time down in the southern states of America collecting songs from the American Negroes down there, and he based all or most of his songs on these American. And I actually know, in fact, I think we both know the song quite well, so we ought to join it right away.
I'm sorry, but what's it called again?
Some Folks Do.
No, I'm afraid I don't know it at all. How does it go? The chorus. Listen, can you sing me the chorus, and I'll try and learn it.
Well, yes.
Well, you're going to try it on your own. Would you feel more happy if you're frightened to sing it on your own, aren't you?
Oh, no.
Well, look, let's have everybody sing it.
Rob's an alto, and the rest of the boys are sopranos,
Yeah.
that's why.
What key? I thought they were all coloratura sopranos. What key do you do it in?
This is an F.
It's an F. Well, I'll give you a chord of F, and then you sing me the chorus, and
Okay.
I'll try and...
Long live the merry, merry heart that's lost by night and day, like the Queen of Earth, no matter what some folks say.
Oh, you must have heard that, Jimmy, surely.
Well, no, actually I haven't, but never mind. I'm a great bluffer, so we'll carry on.
Some folks like to sigh, some folks do, some folks do. Some folks long to die, but that's not me nor you. Long live the merry, merry heart that laughs by night and day, like the Queen of Mirth, no matter what some folks say. Some folks fear to smile, some folks do, some folks do. Others laugh through gall, but that's not me nor you. Long live the merry, merry heart that laughs by night and day, like the Queen of Mirth, no matter what some folks say. Some folks fret and scold, some folks do, some folks do. They'll soon be dead and cold, but that's not me nor you. Long live the merry, merry heart that laughs by night and day, like the Queen of Mirth, no matter what some folks say, no matter what some folks say.
Some folks do, and I hope that some folks were listening and enjoyed this week's programme with Robin and myself, and of course our special guests Ken Sykora and Johnny Scott. Until next Tuesday at 1:10, cheerio.
Robin Hall and Jimmie Macgregor presented Bright as a Button. The program was produced by John Dyas.